really proud of our garden, so we like to show it off to you. In fact, last week we just got over 1,000 pounds of produce so far for this growing season. So, and you'll see that we have a ton of stuff still out here. And remind us to open the shed because we just harvested over 60 pounds of sweet potatoes, and they're sitting in there waiting to cure. So, as I said, we're proud of it. I will tell you how I got here. I worked in the Chester School District for 35 years, mostly as a school counselor in elementary schools, some little bit middle school, elementary. So I really care about the people in Chester, and I know that they've had huge shortages, and we'll talk about that in a minute. I also know that the kids don't have the opportunities to learn the same as they would in Springfield, where I happen to live, or in other suburban districts. So for me, it's just a continuation of caring for the people in Chester. Our garden, as I say, we have 20, every time we say this, we're going to change the number. It's about 26 raised beds. You can help us count when we go out. But we have 26 raised beds. Half of them are built on macadam because the property belongs to the school district, and they let us build half of our beds over there. So the beds are only maybe this deep. Okay. The other beds on this side of the Boys and Girls Club side are built on grass, which is at this point compacted down. We use raised beds because, one, it's easier to maintain the soil. We can keep the plants healthier. We do 3-season gardening outside. We start in March. We start actually before that because we do seeds with the kids for cool weather crops. So we put our crops out in March, hopefully as soon as we can. As long as it doesn't rain, it gets too wet and we can't plant. So in the spring we grew cabbages, broccoli, collards, kale, and we've now just put in fall crops. So we put in broccoli, cabbage, kale, collards, and some Swiss chard. We'll put in some carrots and lettuce today with the kids. So they're all cool weather crops. Some of our warm weather crops are still in the ground. You'll see them. We're still harvesting a lot of tomatoes, a ton of cucumbers this year. And we're really, really good at growing cantaloupes. So when I say we had over 1,000 pounds, we're growing heavy things. Okay. And in fact, I just had shoulder surgery in January. So my measure for how heavy a cantaloupe is how much I can hold it with my head. So I know I can hold a 6-pound cantaloupe, and if that's what it is, it's fine. If it's easy to hold up, I know it's less than that.
Okay, yeah. So let's talk a little bit about our program here. I would say that I've been Master Gardener since 2011, and I think 2012, Master Gardeners decided to come here to this particular building and start gardening with the kids. So our job is not to be their gardeners, but to actually teach children how to garden. We only started with 2 beds, and when I think now we have way over 26, which is amazing how much our program has grown. But we grow to kind of reflect what the community needs. I have to say, when we start with the kids, a lot of them are very unfamiliar with vegetables. The only thing they really know is maybe lettuce and tomato that they get at the fast food place. And past that, now, sometimes we spend our very first day talking, this is a tomato and this is a potato. They get surprised when you talk about potatoes have eyes. You know, they really start searching for eyeballs in that potato. Anyway, because we were growing things, we soon realized that not many people knew how to cook using these vegetables. So we started cooking with the kids too. And we do that approximately once a week. Everything from salsa to eggplant parmesan, and they all get a chance to have a little taste over what these things are. They'll sit there and tell you right to your face about how they don't eat vegetables as they're eating a veggie pizza. It goes right into their mouths. So I would say now that they have really started to develop a taste for vegetables, and they can go out in the garden and name various vegetables to you. Chester has a very transient community, and very few of our kids are here year after year. So every year it's starting the same thing again, starting the same speed, introducing the same vegetables over and over again. The kids definitely seem to have little preferences. Like carrots, surprisingly, are not very popular. I think that would be a really child-friendly vegetable to eat. As Jane said, like we do have two parts to our program. We have a winter part, which now is mostly cooking once a week with the kids. And starting in spring with the kids, we start putting in our early season crops. We go into summer where they start summer camp, and we're here 3 times a week where gardening is one of their options for what they could do in summer camp. Now we're back to an after-school program because camp is over and school has started, and we still meet 3 times a week here. Twice with the kids after school, and once during the day to kind of do a little bit of kitchen maintenance. Because I would tell you secretly, even though the kids might have planted something, a lot of times we replant it after they have left just to make sure it'll actually grow.
And then they shut down when it gets too hot. And so, but now we've had this big flush, so we actually have caught up to where we've been other years. Our produce goes to the families at Boys and Girls Club because they're the kids are producing the food. But when they're not here or whatever's left over goes into, right now they have a new food cupboard right outside. It looks like a big garden shed, but it was put up by the union. So the excess has been going on over there. And then in August, when they closed down, we took it to Eastside Ministries food cupboard. So most of the food cupboards don't get a lot of fresh produce. We in fact got a thank you note for a cucumber from the one outside. But the lady had not had a fresh cucumber, and it was like, this was a wonderful thing. But we had a bumper crop of cucumbers. Let me go back to when COVID was in existence, because for us it was a real problem. We worked under Penn State's rules, and so we were locked up just like you were in our homes. But we could get out in our own gardens, and when things started to open up, and there were food shortages in Chester. And for us, it got to be spring, and what we know how to do is grow food. And for us, it was so frustrating that Penn State wouldn't let us do that. Even though we're going to be outside, we could have worn masks outside, which is what we ended up doing. But they finally gave us permission to do it, like it was May or maybe June. It was later than we normally put in our crops. So we got out, there were 6 of us, got out, cleaned out our beds, planted them up. Because it was, and we knew we could grow food. But it was so frustrating for us to say, let us do this, let us do it. And I think we were the first ones to open up our gardens because they knew we needed to produce the food for the community.
Chester's kind of known as a food desert. And there's, I don't know if you noticed, but there's not really a major food store chain located in the area. So being able to get fresh fruit and produce and vegetables is a major challenge in this area.
And we grow 26 different fruits and vegetables. So we can show you a lot when we go outside. But the people are introduced to these things. We have a big fig tree out here, and for a while nobody ate them except for us. And now I see some of the kids are starting to ask when they can pick them. So it's an educational process to get them into tasting things. As Lisa said, they'll all tell you that they don't like vegetables, but their new thing is they're allergic to all of them. So we cook with them. Yeah, I see you smiling. Are you allergic to all vegetables?
No, I don't. The kids tell me they're allergic to dirt as well.
There's somebody behind you was smiling. I'm thinking, okay, she's heard this. I'm allergic to all vegetables. It's like, but they do. They eat what we cook. But we can't say to them, well, you really do like vegetables, because that would have spoiled the whole thing. So we try to hold back. But we know that they're excited about doing it. I'm trying to think what else to tell you.
Maybe they have some questions.
Yeah.
Do you have any questions?
Any questions?
You all are growing vegetables, right? Are you growing? Are you gardening?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, we are.
Yeah.
Okay. So what do you have in your garden? Sweet potatoes.
Sweet potato, yes.
When did you put them in?
The fifth graders last April and May put in the white potatoes and the sweet potatoes. So here we go.
So you've
And,
dug them up.
We harvested the white potatoes on the Friday of last week and on the Friday of the week before, or Wednesday. And we're down around to 1/3 of what we were in previous years for white potatoes. It's not been a good year.
We've had the same problem, and I don't know why. Except I don't think we have good seed potatoes to start with.
Okay. Well, we used the seed potatoes in the previous year, and cured in the basement of our house, and then we planted the kids planted those. But I think it just got dry in July, and we just we had water challenges because the faucet broke, and Widener took a month to fix it. And I was schlepping water on my bicycle, so. And I think the potato plants just kind of said, okay, that's it.
Yeah.
The same beds that produced 160 pounds last year, last fall, were maybe. Ruth, did you weigh them? You weighed the potatoes, right? It was maybe 45 pounds right now.
The crop this year?
Yeah.
Something like that.
It's not. It's weight. It's down a third, by 2/3. So we're going to harvest the sweet potatoes probably in another week or two, maybe 2 weeks. But we're next going to be planting some of the full season crops in the potato beds and some other beds that we have that have gone fallow because we just lost a lot of greens in July and August.
Okay. We cover a lot of our beds. You'll see them when we go out with floating row cover. We started this about 3 years ago.
At least.
I think about 3 years ago. You'll see them covered. They're not covered for frost. They're covered to keep the insects out, because we don't spray our plants with anything. If we see bugs or caterpillars, we tend to pick them off. But because that's very labor intensive, we learned that if we covered our plants with floating row cover, it eliminates a lot of the insects that eat our plants. So especially the cold crops, the cabbages and the broccolis and the collards, it's that little white butterfly that you see all over the place.
Yeah, we have
They lay their eggs and their caterpillars eat the inside of our plants. So we really have kind of eliminated that, and so we've been able to salvage almost all of our crops with that.
We've had deer damage. The corn crop, deer, squirrels, tomato crop, deer have as soon as it forms a little fruit, there's a bite taken out and dropped on the ground. So we've actually gotten maybe
That's
2 or 3 tomatoes off of the entire bed, all year.
Yeah, this year we'll cover it.
Yeah. So I fenced in the corn crop, but it was too late. I think we have one ear down in there somewhere we could receive.
We have squirrels. We also have groundhogs. It's like every year we have a groundhog, and they have a sweet tooth. They eat cantaloupes and they eat sweet potato vines. So we'll go out, and once we start to see that happen, we know what we got. Because we've also had a possum one year, but we consistently have a groundhog, and he definitely likes sweets.
So we have a couple questions that we talked about in the previous classes. So anybody want to ask those? He's got one.
How do you teach children about pollinators?
We actually do direct lessons on pollinators and pollination. The kids, when they go outside, are very afraid of bees. And just like all of us, their first response is to maybe scream and sort of swatting or running in the other direction. So there's our chance. We sort of discovered that if we take them out, before they get themselves all upset and excited, we actually introduce them to the bees instead. And we go out there. A lot of times we have, we do have pollinator plants in the middle of the garden to attract bees. We simply walk up and we tell them, let's take a look at this, and it's almost like a little study. What do you think those bees are doing? Why are they here? What is their job? Why are they important? So we do that, and then I'd say during the winter, when we're here once a week, we can do a lesson on pollination with the kids. They actually seem to know. Sometimes they surprise me over the amount of knowledge they actually have. Feel like that? Yeah. And a lot of times they know a little bit about it. But it doesn't stop that little squeamish feeling the second a bee goes by. but we often talk about how the bees are much more interested in those flowers than they are in you. And it seems to work.
Little follow up.
Sure.
How many kids do you guys work with here?
Typically on a day that they come out.
It could be anywhere, because I do them, we have to keep track of our numbers. It could be anywhere from 2 to 15.
We try not to get too much more than 2 or 3 children per adult, just for safety reasons and things like that. Let's face it, they do little things that you don't even think about, like they'll walk right through a bed. And, so we don't want that to happen. Or if there was like a little emergency or something, we want them highly supervised. Because after all, we've got big tools there. But I tell you, if there was a contest, they were digging a hole in China, this group here would do it. They just love to dig. And if you're not watching them, that hole gets a little deeper, a little deeper, a little deeper. They're still going on it. So every year we either put fresh soil into the garden or we put mulch onto the ground. And they just love doing things like that. Gives them a chance to get out that little digging thing and just keep going.
And I work with kids. We have some special needs kids sometimes. And I remember one kid he would get out there, I just love to dig holes. And so we would give him a spot where he could dig a hole. And he would dig the whole time we were out there. We'd go back, fill it in. The next time he comes, I just love to dig holes. Oh, this place needs a hole, the same place that he just dug before. But they were happy.
We try to do many things in the garden organically that were not technically certified organic. So if we can do something to avoid the problem from happening, we try to take that method. And that's why we have grow covers over the bed, and we can stop that butterfly from laying eggs on the plants, which stops the caterpillar from eating the leaves. Then it's so much easier than spraying or trying to hand pick everything. We also have a pretty large black tarp out there, and that's because the Boys and Girls Club use Bermuda grass in their lawn, and we soon learned that Bermuda grass really loves to send underground roots completely to where it is. And we had Bermuda grass coming up in the middle of our beds after they were running right underneath the mulch and just came right up. So to try to avoid it, we put down large black tarps because it has to get through that, 15 feet of tarp to make it to the bed. And so far we have success this year.
Yeah, it's too dark.
Too dark, too dry underneath that tarp. So those are the things that we do kind of work on. Also, we have labeling on each of the beds, and I want to say the kids designed those labels and colored them in with magic marker, so you'll see those things there. What else might you want to notice?
We have 2 herb beds out there. We use the herbs in cooking with the kids. We also use them ourselves and some of the staff here. So we try to introduce the kids to using herbs with their cooking. And I like a lot of herbs, so for me it's wonderful.
I do have to say that even though we're master gardeners, we have had our failures out there. Planted things with the kids, everything was done completely well, and then nothing grew afterwards. Or had a plant that was really good, and I don't know, mysteriously died, and we don't have any idea why. So you have your ups and downs, but I think it's a good lesson for them to see that not everything works out perfectly all the time. But for the most part, I have to say that garden was pretty successful out there.
And this year we had a fungus that came up with one of our cabbage beds that we had never seen before, but it destroyed the whole bed of cabbage. So we literally had to take out, it was a fungus, we had to take out with soil and replace it, otherwise we would have had the problem forever. So Lisa says we have some failures. We do. There was nothing we could do about it. We'd never seen the fungus before. So we used research to figure out what to do with it. We use research-based education from different Penn State first, but universities. So when we do our research, it's not your grandmother's favorite way of growing tomatoes or somebody's way of using Dawn dish detergent to kill every insect in your backyard. We do everything scientifically, and that's what we tell you, and that's what we teach.
Okay. Any other questions?
I want to know what you guys are growing. Come on. I've gardened since I was a little kid, so I'm excited about it. You aren't so excited about gardening?
Such enthusiasm, you can do
Is there
Yeah.
another question, you guys? We
Yeah.
have a bunch of questions.
Doesn't understand that.
I was gonna say we grow mint
Okay.
and
And what?
corn.
Okay.
A couple of kinds of mint. One is like a real peppermint mint.
You grow them in to eat or as a pollinator?
Both.
Okay.
And a lot of bees on it right now.
It's the beginning of mojitos, you know.
We grow mojito mint.
And this is the other age group you grow.
We have mojito mint if you want. If you're into that, yes.
There's also a lot of wild milkweed.
Okay.
So we got monarchs coming through over the summer. Haven't seen any in a while.
Yeah,
No
we have
caterpillars, but
Yeah, we haven't seen that many butterflies either. And we have 2 beds filled with flowers and smaller containers filled with flowers, again to attract bees and everything. So it seemed like a very slow start in the spring and pretty quiet. I don't think we had any chrysalises that we found. No, but some butterflies are going through. Even the cabbage white, which is like the most common butterfly in North America, haven't even seen too many of them. Maybe it's because they know they can't eat here, but
it's been
Not
really
enough of them.
dry.
But there were a couple of years where we felt like there was a big neon sign out there that said, "Come here, eat me," that type of thing. It seemed to be a favorite spot for everything to stop by and take a little munch out of. All right, so any other questions? No? Yes?
Do you have any advice for us about how to teach the 5th graders about nutrition?
But about how to teach about nutrition.
We do it when we cook, and so what we really stress is the fact that you eat a lot of different colored vegetables, because each one has a different nutritional value, and so to be a healthy person, you need to eat all of those. So every time we cook, we try to use as many colors as we can, and we keep saying it over and over again, and the kids get it. I mean, someone will say, "I'm eating healthy today," and so we know that what we're saying is getting through.
We do an occasional formal lesson on nutrition, but mostly it's a big introduction to vegetables. There have been years where we have cut up vegetables and have the kids try each one. We talk about how it looks, what does it smell like, what does it taste like. One year we had beets that were cut up and all the kids loved was cranberry sauce, and that was a little surprise to the palate, but it didn't quite taste like that at all. So I would say most of our nutrition is informally taught as we cook. Okay, I know you have other questions down there.
The food tasting is a good thing to do because, one, it helps develop the kids' vocabulary because it tends to be more limited than yours probably was when you were growing up. And so we had to give them the words to describe how things smell or how things taste or how things look. So, and then they had to figure out, for what they were eating, what the smell, taste, and look was. And it's a good way to introduce it. I was going to say, I would say 2017. When Tiffany was here. I don't know. I know. We had someone from Penn who's doing a research study as part of her master's degree, and we took 23 pictures of different fruits and vegetables, and the kids were asked to identify what they were, and then the question was, have you ever tried this? Did you like it? Okay, and then she asked a few questions about how much vegetable and fruit they ate in a day. But out of the 23, the average that they could identify was something like 4 or 5. And they were fairly common things that we asked them to do. So it's gotten a whole lot better because we grow a lot of other things other than 23 different things.
Mm-hmm. Another question? Yes? You have paper there or something on there you want to ask?
Okay, so we've been talking about food justice in class. What does that mean to you?
Food
Justice.
Food justice.
I keep thinking about just justice all around. It's a matter of what's available for people, and it's in Chester. They had, I think they have one supermarket, and I think it's the very last street in Chester going the other direction. So they don't have a lot of things available, and a lot of people, contrary to what people think, a lot of people don't drive. If you look at the food cupboards, you'll see people dragging those, there's two-wheel carts that they put groceries in. They'll be pulling them down the street because they don't drive. They have to get things from food cupboards or something close by. And a lot of times what they do is, or people will go to the local sandwich shop, which is a whole lot more expensive than if you cook your own food. So it becomes a problem. It's an economic problem, but it also, they're not introduced to foods that are maybe a little more healthy. So it's a health issue, it's economic.
Any other questions?
Yes.
This one says, how has your understanding and commitment to community wellness grown since you have started working?
Say,
I can barely hear you.
I couldn't either.
It says, how has your understanding and commitment to community wellness grown since you have started working?
The wellness of the community, it has grown because what happened was that we started to grow more things. We also cut back at some point, not growing quantity, but growing what people would actually eat, because we know that it's healthy that we're providing, healthy food that we're providing. So that's one of the changes we made. The other thing is we added the cooking, because we were putting out food and people weren't taking it, and what we heard from the parents was, I don't cook. So we're teaching the kids to do it.
What other aspects of the Boys and Girls Club do you guys offer?
What was the end?
Oh, Donna, that's your question.
Sorry, I didn't hear the question. Good afternoon. I'm Ms. Donna Norman, and I'm the Director of Operations to the Boys and Girls Club. I just want to welcome you. That's actually why I stepped in to say welcome to the Boys and Girls Club. But you had a question?
Yeah, I said, what other aspects of the Boys and Girls Club are offered?
A number of different aspects. As you see, you're in one of the main fun areas that when our children come in, they want to go into the gym, right? Because there's a lot of stuff to do here in the gym. So we do anything from basketball, volleyball, tennis, other things that we do outside of the gym that involve sports and recreation. We actually do golfing. So our children have the opportunity to go out to the golf course and be able to learn golfing. We have about 2 or 3 different places where we do that. But the other one of the big sports that we do that most people don't really know that's available is that we do scuba diving. So even though we don't have a pool here, so we're one of the places that teaches scuba diving without a pool, which sounds kind of like, well, how do you do that? And we do that through partnerships throughout the community and through other communities where we're able to take our young people out where they can actually earn their certificates for scuba diving. They earn either a skin diver or they earn their certification for scuba diving where they can go scuba diving any place throughout the country. So those are some of the things that we do in our health and recreation, besides our gardening, which is a part of that. You'll possibly get a chance to go out and see the garden if you haven't already, which is just amazing. But some of the other things we do when our young people come in, we do what we call Power Hour. And that's our academic enrichment program. So we're doing homework help, we're doing some level of tutoring. Now, when I say tutoring happens because we have young people like you, Widener, that come in and volunteer to help our young people with their homework and help them learn different concepts. Because if they bring their homework to me, they're in trouble. They're not going to but it's great when we have young minds who have been working in this, used to doing some of the math, the way that they do, the reading skills, and can sit with our young people one-on-one or small groups and help them. That is one of the things that really helps our young people excel when they're in school. So we're always looking for people to come in and volunteer. So that's my pitch. Especially if you like to even do sports, come in and help us out do that. But we do all kinds of things such as computers, we have gaming, we do, you see the pool tables out there, table tennis that we have out there. We have all kinds of what we call evidence-based social emotional learning programs such as our Positive Action, which talks about bullying, talks about self-love, self-care, families, communication, things of those sorts. We do that. One of the things on Fridays, we have teen night. So we serve youth between the ages of 6 up to age 18. But our youth that are 12 and older come in for teen night. So that's their time to be able to have the club. So we do all kinds of teen programming with them. We take them on trips. We do all kinds of activities with them. We have speakers come in. We talk about careers. We talk about where they want, how they want to be able to communicate with family, with friends, colleges, all kinds of things that are interests of teens. We actually, when you walk around, you'll see a suggestion box so that they can put information in there to let us know the things that they enjoy doing. So one of the things we want to do this year that we've done in the past years, probably not since COVID, but we used to do a haunted house. So we do that so that the young people can go through, have a party, enjoy, get a chance to set up a haunted house. Once again, the way that we were able to do that is through volunteers such as yourself that came in and helped us set up this whole gym as a haunted house. And they got to participate in that along with the students that helped us do the Widener students. So those are types of things when you think about the Boys and Girls Club that we do with our young people to host the different activities, expose them to different types of experiences inside and outside of the club. We also have a mentoring program, and that's pretty big here that we do with our young people. So, US. You're welcome.
Okay, any other questions?
Excuse me. To the mentoring program. As a mentor or when we're working with our young people. So when our young people, I'll get to from both ends. So when our young people come into the club and they become members into our club, then what we do is our mentoring program, they can automatically just sign up or just say, I want to be a part of it. That's all they have to do that. For our mentors, we get our mentors from both our staff, community people that want to volunteer, and of course young people like yourself to be able to mentor. So we take you through a small orientation. You have to fill out an application, and one of the biggest things here is that you have to get all of your clearances. We require 3 clearances, which is the FBI, which are the fingerprints, the criminal background, as well as child abuse. So those 3 clearances have to be completed before you can become a mentor or you can even volunteer here at the club. So we work with people to be able to help get that, and I know that Widener does that as well.
All of our people
So that's
have
really
cool. Except we don't need this. That doesn't require the FBI fingerprint, but the others.
Yeah.
Yes.
So we have to have all of those.
Yeah.
And like a lot of places, unlike a lot of places, we have to have ours done every year. So it's not even like once every 4 years or 5 years. It's every year we have to have our community staff, anybody who's Any other questions that I can answer about Boys and Girls Club? Because I know these ladies are chock full of information. Anything else? Well, I appreciate you guys taking the time to come out and see our club. And I'm going to turn you over. As I said, I just want to say hi. It's lunchtime for us. And be able to talk with these ladies who will just kind of really help you out. And the work that they do here has made such an impact and makes such a difference in terms of our young people and the experiences that they get. So,
Well, I bet you somehow.
yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Shall we go outside?
Yes.
Right. Let's head outside.
Monday, because they shot the cure.
Jeez.
We got a couple of
They are.
big,
You know, we've had big ones, and somebody will come and say, I think my family is 5
yeah.
with the one sweet potato.
You hear that one student that said it looks sort of like a little baby.
They're also nice to see you dig them up. Yeah.
And as Jane said, we have about 26 of them. We're actually on the school district of Chester's property. We're right behind, I think it's their auto repair place. And as you can see, this is macadam. So we're growing right on top of macadam. So we only have about maybe 8-10 inches of soil over here. And kind of very funny, we try to grow corn on this side. not really realizing that it wasn't really deep enough for the roots. We came in one day and the lines on its side after a big windstorm. That side of the garden over there, that's the property line for the Boys and Girls Club. So that does have soil underneath there. That was grass when we first started. We grow everything from strawberries, and I see some of you saw the strawberries. Here's how they grow. There's one growing right there. So they're having a second life after that hot summer. Yeah, and they seem to actually
they're
like some of the
everbearing
cooler
birds.
weather over there.
So they had a huge, we had 14 pounds of berries in June from these. And so now they're just getting another crop now, but they're ever-bearing berries.
Oh, so
It's
you
the
think they'll get
variety.
another crop in by the frost?
That's what's coming
You
now.
think okay.
But
Yeah,
it's not
there's a
going to
lot of
be
strawberries that
not
started
nearly
again.
as much as what we got in June. But it's another crop
Wow,
of strawberries.
ever-bearing berries.
They're called Albion. They're really nice. They're nice and sweet.
We had about a 5-year run of strawberries this test year, and then the city weed whacked the bed.
We,
Complicated problem.
we replace them about every 3 years
Oh, okay.
because they kind of. But these are really tough. These have been in 2 years.
Wow.
So they'll.
Yeah,
they
and
have
you
to
can
be
see what they
small.
do. They send out runners, and so if we have a plant that doesn't look so good, we replace with one of the runners. And then once I decide this is big enough, but this one probably is, that's an iffy plant, and that's an iffy plant. So I'll probably try to replace those two before fall is over. We'll
The,
just be done.
the floating row cover that we have, it's nice because you can see through it. The sun goes through it, so we don't have to uncover them, and water goes through it. So, and the insects don't. So, this is cabbage. You'll see it's cabbage, kale, broccoli, collards are all covered because they're all in the same family.
Weather plants.
Yeah.
And these are the signs that I said that the kids had made and decorated with magic marker.
Lovely.
And then we just simply put a little metal sign right in front of it. And that way we could change things whenever we change what crop is inside the bed.
Because we do change all the time. The other thing is the melons we have, if you see the plants here look like they are dying at some point, but those are from these same plants. So we've left them in because we're still getting melons. And you'll see another bed on the other side is growing up. That even looks more dead, but we still have melons growing up the fence.
This is our pollinator garden section here. So these are a lot of perennials and not too many bees out today, but like come over a little closer if you want. But this is one of the ways we introduce the kids to bees. Is that we'll bring them over to this plant and we'll talk about how the bees are interested in getting nectar and pollen from this plant and not really interested in them. As long as they don't swat it or chase it, they're pretty safe. So we have a lot of fall bloomers here. This is, well, does anybody know what this is? Okay, this is goldenrod here, Latin name solidago. So we have plants that bloom in the spring, the summer, and the fall to attract pollinators during the whole season. We also have like these large trash can things that we filled with soil, and that way we can place pollinator plants. That one happens to be zinnias all around the garden where we want to make sure we get a little extra attracted to bees. And then we get a couple freebies come up, like right there, that marigold. Nobody would have planted that right in the walkway,
Anyone
but we
here?
just allowed it to go, and it just sort of found its seeds there and decided to grow its plant. So here we have mostly perennials. Over here, mostly annuals. These are two of our sweet potato beds.
And our
Yeah, potatoes out yet, so you probably recognize them.
Yeah, big cages in ours over here.
Yeah, and we use these trash cans to store soil in. So whenever we need soil throughout the year, we can just go into those cans and our soil is sitting in there. This was our potatoes that we took the sweet potatoes out that you saw inside the shed. And today or Wednesday or sometime very soon, next lettuce will go back in. And I should say each one of these beds goes through at least 2 different crops, maybe 3 different crops, depending on what got put into the bed in the first place. We use the fence. The fence was the borderline between 2 properties. And we grow a lot of our climbing type vegetables up against that fence. And that's why you see the melons are actually hanging from the fence over there. Sometimes they get so heavy they actually fall off. occasionally, when we're good gardeners, we tie little nylon little stockings around them to kind of help keep the weight up. But you know what? Maybe now we're up to the philosophy: you live on your own, you die on your own. You just have to make it to the end. Those are our white potatoes right there, the ones that you see that are really dying back. So we'll be pulling them out of the ground very shortly. Okay. We also grow sunflowers. They're a very good plant to attract bees, and the birds are very interested in them too. We have 2 bird baths in here, and we used to have a bee bath. I don't know what happened. It didn't get out this year. In order to attract those birds too, and they help us keep down insects that we don't want. This mulch here went down in the garden because the tile was broken, and you can see some sort of seeds in between. And just like you said that you had some sort of accident with somebody spraying something, well, they decided to come along the school district and spray for weeds, and they sprayed all our pathways, and guess what happened? It went right into the beds too, and the next thing you know, like, gee, our plants are kind of dying. About a week later, they didn't tell us that they did this, and that's what happened, and we had to start the whole thing over, and a place called Wolf's Garden Spot gave us free plants to help replace all the plants, because this was a pretty expensive deal to try to replace all these plants in here. I'd say that this is like very important to the community, that it really does. We did mention this produce goes free to the homes of the kids, and the kids get very excited when they're out here and actually harvest with us. And then we have to encourage everybody just to take those things home and try them at home. All right, any questions for? Yes. How long did it take? You have to be really loud.
How long did it take to grow them and get some?
The year that we lost the plants. So we lost our spring crop, so I would say that we were behind 4 weeks, at least what we should have been. And it just shows you that you have to be very careful whenever you use chemicals in the garden, that is something that could happen.
So we bought a weed whacker, and over the summer, I cosmetically make the place look appealing, look nice, so they don't come in and spray and do the numbers. So yeah.
Well, this is what I call our garden of weeding, and there's the tarp that's stopping that vegetagrass from entering into the garden, and that's the same thing. That grows all sorts of things, and if it only just grew really nice little wildflowers, we would be so happy. And every year I've thrown milkweed seeds into there. This year I'm throwing fennel seeds into there, and we'll see who wins the battle. But it's normally the Bermuda grass comes out number 1 on that battlefront.
It's under the beds.
Anything else? Any other questions? Yeah, really loudly.
Maintenance plan here.
The maintenance plan?
Yeah.
Well, we have to say that we teach gardening, so anything that an 8-year-old can do, we usually don't do, or when they're not looking, we redo it. So I'd say like our biggest maintenance is having soil and mulch. We try to offset the year so it doesn't come too expensive. 1 year we replace the mulch, next year we replace soil in the beds. And the kids help with it. It could be a little assembly line, like they give every little kid a bucket, goes over, put a couple scoopfuls into the bucket, comes over, dumps it into the bed. They're very happy digging and things like that. Then we have our wheelbarrows over here that they want to help out with that too. But I have to say, once a week we kind of go over it and make sure everything is okay and running well. And we give them like little tastes of things, like when we pick string beans, you could eat them without them being cooked. We'll say like, here, try a little bit of that. Or here's a prime example. Here's nasturtium, and nasturtium is edible. It's a flower that you could eat. So shall we check how brave everybody is here? Who wants to try a piece of nasturtium? Okay, they taste like.
Liz loves flowers. She'll go for it.
What? It tastes like black pepper. Just try it. You want to try it? You wouldn't force anybody to try it. Yeah, just put the whole thing in your mouth. Yes, it tastes like black pepper. Want to try it? We have plenty of flowers. Did you just say she'll run out before I reach you? See, I'm a retired teacher. I've taught for years. So.
Oh my gosh.
And you know what? Well, here's your thing. Shows you how brave you might be in life, according to whether or not you tried a piece of this. Hey, we didn't ask you. Let's pick out a nice flower. But anyway, we grow all these things for the kids to try. Now, imagine if you're a kid and somebody's just introducing you to a new vegetable.
Thank you.
Oh, there you go. Sorry. That's exactly what this would be like. Right? Yeah, it just has a little bit of a pepper taste. Anybody else would like it? This is nasturtium. It's this plant over here. It happens to be in the same family as cabbage. And how do I know that? Because the same butterfly that flies around and tries to get on our broccoli and cabbage also will lay eggs in these too. So anyway, really, nothing to be worried about, but these are the brave people. And it takes bravery from these kids to try new things too. So you just got a little experience about what it might be like. Okay, so what else? It just tastes like black pepper. It doesn't taste like anything special.
Very little limited access to gardens. Maybe the folks want to hear that story.
Okay, I am a Philadelphian row house kid. And when I grew up, I thought the earth was made out of cement. And it made perfect sense to me because when I stepped out of my row house, everything was made of cement. But the way you might have gotten your little postage stamp of lawn, which our front lawn wasn't too much more than this bed right here, is that they dug the cement out and put soil in, and that's me. So when I was a little kid, I really wanted to try to grow something. My father was so sweet. We went out and we got a little kid's swimming pool. And we bought that, but there was no Home Depots back there. You couldn't get soil. So we went over to the graveyard and we dug soil out of the graveyard and then hauled it back, my little red wagon. And we grew a couple vegetables on the, I'm going to call it a front patio, a cement patio in the front of our little row house. Now, do I remember how any of those vegetables grew? No. But I remember the whole thought before it and how kind my father was to go through this whole thing with me so that I could try to grow a little something. So now I just have a small house in Delaware County, and I actually use the vegetables from here because I have to tell you, after you're out in the heat and gardening for like 3 hours with the kids, you don't want to go home and have to do your own yard too.
My garden at home is a mess right now.
That's how I feel about mine. Mine's more like a jungle, I have to say, but anything else? Okay, anything else anybody wants to add? Ask? You eat vegetables?
Yes, they did.
And you do a little cooking too, don't you?
We're going to be. This year we're sort of early bringing people to the Deaver Wellness Forum last week and then to you all. And so they're not really that connected yet with sort of the activities that we do there with the kids and things. We've only had 2 days out. The other challenge is that we haven't figured out the logistics. There are 2 fifth grade classes and a life skills class, and they're only available once a week, and they all come out at once.
Oh.
So it's 40, 35 kids at once.
That's a lot of kids in one little garden.
Yeah, and so, we have different sorts of activities, but we don't have the act down yet. We got to work on that. Have some more discussion about how to sub squats and things.
Right. Well, we go through the same thing where we make a little list over what we need done that day and what it is the kids can actually do with us. And it could be everything from putting up new signage onto these things, which I haven't had today. Like, you can see that bed was just planted, so it's missing its sign on there. To whether or not checking the potatoes to make sure they're not above ground and everything is buried correctly. Then we also make up little jobs for them to do. just so that they feel like they're much more involved in the garden. This connection to the earth is very, very important, I think, here for the kids in Chester. And I think the more that they feel a relationship with the world around them, I think the better human being we all become. Any other questions, comments? Guys, anything you want to share?
Austin's in the marching band. Does the Boys and Girls Club have a music program?
Oh, do you guys have a music program?
You know what? That's not really a question for me.
No.
Yeah. I could start one.
So, we know lots of
You could
silly
volunteer.
gardening songs
Oh.
that I try to teach them, but you know what? I don't know. I think if I rapped, I would be like so much better off. But does anybody here know the Addams Family?
Yes.
You must have seen the movie Wednesday. But these kids might not even know that song, so I started a little song going, parts of a plant. Its roots and stems and leaves, those are the special three. Its roots and stems and leaves, those are the parts of a plant. If they don't know what song it's off, and you find yourself like singing alone. So a music program would be nice.
You can start some of those guys.
But as Donna spoke to in there, the idea of if you feel like you would like to mentor or come here and help, it's really the volunteers that keep this place going. I think without the volunteers, they wouldn't have half the program that they have today. And they're very nice, concerned with the community type people here.
We've had Widener students from this class come back and volunteer. There's a couple different programs, mostly after school.
Okay. Jade, is there anything you want to add to this?
I wasn't listening to say.
It's your last chance to say something.
Now, can you go on the outside?
If you would. Yeah, Jane will show you the other side of the garden. Let's walk around this way. Follow Jane to show you the other side.
This is all the same.
他说用闻的。
Okay. Hey, Justin, we have an answer. Why do these vibrate? So I'm saying let them vibrate because that's their method. By vibration, they can spread the pollen around, and therefore there's a greater chance that it will succeed that way. So I was just saying that if you really want to get tomatoes,
is how them to
like every single flower, you take out your electric toothbrush and just touch it to the tomato blossoms, and you'll end up with a tomato in practically every single one of them. Because it's that vibration and mixing pollen.
That is nice.
Yeah, so like